Boatbuilding News, the podcast. Let's do it. Welcome to Boatbuilding News, the podcast, a series of engaging interviews with key individuals from within the marine industry. I'm excited. This is going to be epic. In this episode, we speak to Stephen Horsley from Sertec, the man who got me hooked on tracking lightning strikes around the world. Hi, Stephen. Thanks for joining me on the Boatbuilding News podcast.
Hey, Holly, it's good to see you again. It's a while since we met at Metz in Amsterdam. So thanks very much for the invite. Looking forward to this. Great.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it as well, because the conversation we had at Metz really stuck in my mind as I was traveling back. Do you know what I mean? When I thought back to all the people that I'd spoken to, which was, pretty overwhelming, so many people there, actually, it was our conversation that actually made me really stop and think, this is actually really interesting. So I'm so excited that we can share that conversation, with the listeners, which is going to be great.
Yeah, great.
So let's just start. Do you want to just introduce yourself, Stephen, and just tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, and the role you play in the industry?
Yeah, Holly. So first of all, the marine industry is pretty new for me, about 2.5 years into it. My background is that for many years I was working for American and European companies at pretty high level, VP level, and director in the electrical and electronic industries, and enjoyed that for quite some time. I decided then about 4 or 5 years ago to start consulting to companies and make a little bit of a change. And currently what I do is I have 2 major contracts where I'm the global sales director for a UK company called IPEC. They're in sort of protection equipment for partial discharge in electrical stuff. But the more important one is Sertec. I'm the sales director for Europe, Middle East, Africa, and Asia. And it's quite an interesting story with Sertec, because I found them when we got into COVID, and I was just going through all of the LinkedIn messages, and I saw this gentleman called Amanda Schiffarelli. He posted this post which said, no lightning strikes can occur with our technology. And I was thinking, well, I'm not doing much at home at the moment, and I'll follow this up and I'll find out what it was. And I was very fascinated about it because, it's completely different to what is a traditional technology. And I remember speaking to him a couple of years ago before I, when I joined them, and he speaks only Spanish, president of the company. Right. I don't speak any Spanish. I can pay the bill and get a hotel room and all of that sort of stuff. But, we spent about 1 minute because he didn't understand me and I didn't understand him.
Oh, no.
So that was that. So I thought, oh, no, we're going to give up here. And they managed to get somebody who could speak English with me and translate to Spanish. And I looked at his website and I could see with this company, they're based in Paraguay, South America. Okay. And of course, you get a lot of lightning there because that's what we're going to talk about today. And, I sort of saw that they had no real presence in the region, EMEA, a little bit of business in Asia. So I said, from my background and what I've been doing in my career, maybe there's something I can do for them. And we managed to get it together. Now, I've been with them a couple of years. We met at Metz. We sort of now come from the land-based systems, and we're now into marine in a very big way, because this technology, quite a lot of your listeners will probably know about lightning. I think everybody's seen it, and it's a wonderful thing to see. But if you're close by, of course, it's life-threatening. And so this the technology that they do and is really a thing called deionization, and we'll talk about that in a little bit more. And they have a range of products, and these products do something that is quite clever. But why it's clever is that it's not a new technology. It's not a startup idea. In fact, it's got rich history. Nikola Tesla actually invented this technology back in 1916.
Oh, wow.
He was trying to capture lightning strikes and take all of that power and use it for civilization to be able to catch a lightning strike, take the power, use that in the grid, as you would say. But his patent that he had got lost. It ran out in the 1930s, and up until 21 years ago, the technology was just not known of, because a lot of Tesla's patents were hidden, or they were locked away, or people didn't know about them. But this one surfaced, and Mr. Schiaparelli found it. The president, he's an electrical engineer, and turned it into a modern day product. So it's a phenomenal technology.
So this journey with Sertec, I mean, it's my favourite type of story, I think, coming off the back of COVID, is the people that I'm talking to now, that are successful right now, are always the ones that are opportunistic during COVID.
Yeah.
And I've mentioned it before in other episodes that there were two types of people, weren't there? There was COVID people that saw COVID as an excuse, and people that saw COVID as an opportunity. So I love the fact, and I can almost visualize it, that you sat there scrolling through on your computer, and 99 out of 100 people would probably just, even if they found it interesting, would still scroll on past. Whereas it's quite individual of you and quite unique for you to say, oh, that's interesting, but it's also an opportunity, and it's not just that; it's an opportunity that I'm gonna pursue. And I absolutely love that, and that's probably why you're in the position that you are today.
Yeah, it's I'm one of those that goes and finds things to do and make it happen. And my positions in the past as a VP in companies have been running global sales, doing global strategies, all sorts of things. So it was wonderful when I found it, because it's very rare that you find something that is so phenomenal that isn't already out there in abundance in the market. So with lightning, I mean, just to say a few things for the listeners on lightning, which they probably know. I mean, a lightning strike, if it's coming to your boat, your yacht, or whatever it may be, it could be up to 300 million volts. It's the dangerous stuff is the amps, of course, 30,000 amps. It's hotter than the surface of the sun. They've recorded temperatures, and it travels at 276,000 miles an hour. And so when this lightning strike comes, it's so quick, and we've all seen it. And traditionally in technology, what you have is something that was invented nearly 300 years ago by Benjamin Franklin, called a Franklin rod. And basically it just looks like my pen. It's just like a wire that sticks up on the top of a building, and mainly for land.
We're so used to seeing that. We're so used to seeing that in designs for yachts.
Yeah, it's but the biggest problem with this technology of Franklin rod, or there's one on land called an ESE, an early streamer emitter, which shoots something up to capture the lightning strike, is the lightning is always coming to you. So that's a negative, and a negative in a very big way. You don't want to be sitting on your yacht and a strike comes to your protection system. It's much better for it not to do that. So just a quick look at what the technology is. If we've all held magnets, you get magnets of the same polarity, they push apart, and if you put them round the other way, opposite polarity, they come together very quickly. So a thunder cloud is called a cumulonimbus cloud, and this goes up to 30,000 feet plus into the atmosphere. And what happens in the cloud is that the ice crystals and the elements within the cloud get separated. The atoms have a thing called an electron, which gets broken off, and these go into different pockets in the cloud. So in the cloud, you've got negative charge, you've got positive charge, and all that they want to do is to just come back together again. So that is basics of electrical law, where charges come back together. So you imagine this big, huge thundercloud coming across, the sea, and what it's doing is it generally gets negative charged at the bottom. So these negative electrons push the negative part on the sea further down into the sea, and the magnetic field brings up the positive charge. So what is happening is this charge is being built up, and this could be on any type of boat, cargo ship, you name it, it could be on it. And that let's just call it a yacht for now. This yacht becomes oppositely charged, and it becomes very attractive and to the thundercloud. So it's a prime target for discharge. So what the technology does, Holly, is it does not allow this buildup of charge. Tesla was so brilliant. I mean, he was so beyond brilliant. And he said that if you deionize the atmosphere, which means you balance the atmosphere again in a protected area, you can't have a lightning strike because there's not enough pull from the cloud to the area that's protected. So basically, what happens is the charge buildup occurs elsewhere, and the lightning strike occurs elsewhere as well. So it's a deionizing technology that fits probably on the top of the mast or above the bridge on big cargo ships, and it takes the atmospheric charges and drains them safely to ground. The other thing about this technology, which is phenomenal, is that it's a passive technology. It requires no power, so
Oh, really?
it relies completely on nature.
Okay.
And when we install this technology, it gets earthed down into the hull of the boat, and we talk all about how that happens. And the device recognizes the polarity, which is in the sea, and then does this phenomenal job of balancing the atmosphere.
It sounds so simple that
Mm.
it's almost too simple that you wonder why it's not just on every yacht as standard and always
Mm.
has been, but it hasn't.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean?
uh,
It's beautifully simple.
it is, and this was the thing when I was sitting at home in the COVID and I saw it. I thought, this is incredible. How do I not know about this? I've been
Yeah.
in electronics and electrical engineering all my life, and basically, it is simple. But it's quite complex the way it's done, of course. But without getting too deep into the technology, it uses a capacitive technology which does all of this. But yeah, it's a brilliant technology. And what we've done now is we've been Sertec have been protecting assets for the last 21 years. Happy to say we've never ever had an incident. We protect everything from lifeguard huts on beaches in Florida, where
Oh,
storms come in
really?
very quick. So you've got the lifeguard
Yeah.
hut, and you've got
Mm.
one of these little devices sitting up on top protecting it. And then we do everything: sports stadiums, major factories, and nuclear power station. So that gives confidence that this technology really works. It's certified and all that sort of thing, and fascinating. So it's
So I mean, like it's completely reliable. I mean, how does it ever fail? Does it, or
well, you can never say never, but
no?
we've had never, and it has a backup because if it was to fail, it would act like a Franklin rod, so you dissipate the charge downwards as well. But
Oh, okay.
the technology has become intelligent, and that's what I wanted to
Mm.
talk a little about today.
Yeah.
When I joined, my first question was, "How do you know it works?
Yes.
How do you know I'm sitting on the back of my yacht enjoying my champagne and I got this on top and it's working?" So
Because it's invisible, isn't it? So yeah, you're
it's
right.
invisible.
Mm.
Well, what you do, you install the technology, and there's a way that you test it. But then when you walk away, you don't know whether something's gone wrong. 10 minutes later. So
Yeah.
so so what Sertec developed, which is brilliant, is a thing called Storm 7. It's the world's first, and it's a condition monitor. So basically, this monitor goes around the down earth cable that comes from it, and 24/7, it's actually monitoring that your lightning protection is working, and it gives
Oh,
it.
okay.
Yeah, so it's become intelligent. So now, the captain can see on the bridge, on a display, yeah, my lightning protection is working perfectly. And it provides reports and alarms and data about temperature, humidity, atmospheric pressure. So we've taken the basic Franklin rod and brought it from Tesla's idea to become a truly phenomenal product. And today, over the last 2 years, a lot of them are under NDA with private owners, but we protect every type of yacht. We're doing single hull, we're sailing yachts, we're doing catamarans, super yachts. We actually protect Mirabella 5
Oh,
or
okay.
M5 as you know it now. I think they
Yeah.
renamed it. We're just about to upgrade that all with the installers. They met me at Metz and they said, well, Mirabella was being hit quite often by lightning, and 3 years ago we put the technology on, and we've not been hit since. So that's quite a good
Gosh,
reference.
yeah. I was going to say that's a very powerful testimonial, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a phenomenal one, but it's the same for anyone that's even got a smaller yacht. One thing we're quite proud of at the moment, the Golden Globe race is on.
Yeah.
Uh, we are sponsoring Puffin. We've got one on the top. Uh, he,
Ah,
he's just making it across the oceans to Cape Horn. He's been going now about 5 or 6 months, and uh,
wow.
we said to him, "Look, don't get hit by lightning. Let's put one of these on top of Puffin." So that's
Yeah.
happening as well. It's great.
So you're making real inroads into the marine industry that wasn't there before you saw that opportunity that, to do that with Sertec.
Yeah, correct. I mean, the thing about it is, how do you protect something that's at sea?
Yeah.
If you use the traditional technologies, you're going to bring the lightning strike to you. And there's another one called a dissipation array system. You may have seen it, or some of your listeners may have seen it. It looks like a brush that sits on the top of the mast. And
Oh, okay.
the idea of that technology is to try and dissipate the charges, but it's not like our technology because we are certified. We have we're underwriters laboratory certified. We are NATO. We're approved for NATO. We have UKCA and CE marking. We are ROS compliant. Every part of the device is recyclable. No
Oh,
hazardous
wow.
materials. Yeah, so it's a very green product, and as I said, it requires no power.
Yeah.
So I think for the marine industry, Holly, this is a brand. When you walk in and you tell a yacht owner that this technology will not allow the lightning strike, and you see a storm. I was watching a storm. Well, I'm watching a lot of storms, but there's a website called Blitzorg. It's phenomenal,
Oh, okay.
and it shows actual lightning strikes right now all across the world, and when you look at the ones that are on the sea,
Yeah.
and off of one of the Mediterranean islands recently, Mallorca, there was 19,000 lightning strikes, and that's into the sea and across the land. So it's
Yeah.
quite considerable. So
Yeah, you know what website I'm going to be going on shortly then?
yeah, no, 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 definitely do it. Blitzortung, German for lightning map, is, and if you go to the vector map, it's the best one for everyone to look at.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
a brilliant site. I was
Looks like it
watching.
sounds like addictive viewing.
Well, the trouble is, my wife's getting a bit worried about me now. When I when I first started getting into this in COVID, I'm watching all these lightning videos, and she's wondering what the hell I'm doing. And now I'm watching Blitz all the time. It's like watching a fish tank. It's incredible. It's
Oh, wow.
that sort
Yeah,
of thing.
definitely. I mean, I think if you're going to purchase a yacht, did people know that there was any choice apart from just a Franklin rod, or was it just, hey,
Hmm.
this is your yacht, and this is what you put on to protect yourself in a storm? Did people know until you guys came onto the market that actually there was a choice of technology that they could put on there?
Very limited, Holly. This technology really is very new to the industry,
Yeah.
although it's 100 years old. And what they've been doing on yachts and on all sorts of things, on super yachts and everything, is the earthing that you do, has to be able to take an impact, so you don't lose everything. But as
Mm.
being at Mets with everybody coming there, we had people come into the booth and saying, "Yeah, we know somebody that's just been hit. They had a technology on there, it didn't quite work, and." Now they've
Yeah.
got 50 to 100,000 euros worth of damage. So it's an educational understanding that this technology is fully proven.
Yeah.
We have lots of test data and we have lots of lab stuff that people can look at, which is quite good.
So this solution, okay, so it never fails. It does what it's meant to do. It's completely sustainable. So, as sales director, you must have the easiest job in the world selling this.
It's an
Because it,
awesome job. I can't tell you how exciting. I've been doing a lot of stuff in my career, but this is the most exciting because what you're doing is you're protecting people. You're protecting their wonderful assets that they own. Whether that's on the sea or on land. Also, just one side thing. We protect a lot of livestock farms in Argentina.
oh really?
Yeah, this happens up in Norway and all sorts of places as well. A lightning strike can take out a complete herd. So
Of course.
yeah, so we protect all sorts of stuff. So you can imagine what this is like. I've been traveling a bit with it. I've been doing quite a lot of seminars. I did one in Istanbul recently, about 400 engineers there. We're off to do it again in March, off to India, off to Australia this month. So it's a really exciting job, and having this technology is wonderful. It's great.
So what's the most common sort of pushback you get if you're pitching this to a yacht builder? What's the most common thing they'll say as a reason why they wouldn't perhaps use this
Yeah,
technology?
yeah. So I won't mention the company name, but it took me
No.
about 6 months to convince them. I mean, first off, if you're going to put lightning protection, you need to know it works, okay?
Yeah.
And one of the pushbacks that we got was, how do you know it's working?
Oh,
And
right.
as
Like you said.
yeah, and so great, you tell us all of this, but how can we trust it? So the condition monitor that goes on there now gives those boat builders, these owners, the confidence that they can physically see something that tells them that it's working. So that was one of the bigger barriers, much in the early days, when the
Mm,
technology was becoming more modern, more sophisticated. It's really, how do you know it works?
mm,
And now we're getting past that. And what's starting to happen in the marketplace now is that we unfortunately have a lot of NDAs because the owners want to keep their
yeah.
privacy. But the type of installations we're doing, some of them we can talk about. Where there's a brand new one that we've just done. Cargo ships now are relying on the wind, and they have this thing called wind wings. You probably would have
Mm,
seen it.
yeah.
Um, so we've just taken on a rather large project to protect this huge cargo ship and these wind wings because they're very, very tall. They're an absolute, magnet for a lightning strike. So we're getting that confidence in the market now that it can be seen. Fishing boats sometimes get hit as well. We're working,
Mm,
our distributor in the UK, company called TMS, brilliant company, are now working on potentially looking at how we can help, fishing vessels and so on. So the
yeah.
scope is colossal. We protect
Yeah.
also, Holly, without me carrying on too much here.
That's
We
fine.
protect offshore oil platforms. We've just started doing
Yeah.
projects with them. Even the buoys that are in the sea.
Yeah. You must be an insurance company's best friend.
You know what? We've taken some very big steps recently because we hear of so many yachts being hit by lightning, and the cost is colossal to the
Mm,
insurance company
yeah.
and the owners. So we are working with insurance companies to educate them on this technology. There are companies out there right now that are accepting the technology fully and
Mhm,
saying to their customers and through their brokers, advise your owners that this technology is there.
mm.
And maybe individually, I can't speak as a blank brush on this, but the insurance companies can offer some incentives because they don't
Yeah.
want you being hit by lightning.
No,
So
of course.
yeah, that's a big push we're doing, and we already have good feedback on that.
Yeah. So what's been your biggest challenge so far?
Well, I think it's we had to establish a network. So we have distributors now all over the world,
Mm,
throughout Europe, Middle East, and Africa for all land-based assets, and now into marine. I've been going out to, been very lucky going to some wonderful shows, around Europe. Last year, we picked up and explained the technology, and now we're building that distribution network, and we're still looking. We're always open to look for people in the marine industry that could take our technology and promote it. So that's been it's running fast and trying to get as many as we can on board, and that's working really well.
yeah, I suppose at the beginning it was just one person's voice, but the more people you
Mm,
speak to, the more distributors you get on board. It just
mm.
multiplies and multiplies and multiplies. So it probably it's snowball effect, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, and appearing at Mets, appearing at lots of other different boat shows, and that people can see us, they can see the confidence. If they follow Puffin, they can see it on the top of Puffin going around the world right now. So the confidence factor is that the first and the biggest barriers was we just don't believe this can work because, as I mentioned about around Mallorca, 19,000 plus lightning strikes. You think, well, how can you stop that? but it is that basics. And when you take that basics of getting rid of the build-up of the opposite charge, you then are in a good position to not have a lightning strike.
Yeah, definitely. So what's next? What does 2023 look like for you?
Oh, phenomenal. A lot of travel, which is good. Bring my
Yeah,
family on some of them as well. They love
yeah,
it.
I know.
You know.
I do think every time I speak to you, you're in a different place.
Yeah, it's wonderful, isn't it? Yeah,
I know.
yeah, and I'm fortunate. You know, I've got two rather grown up daughters now, and my wife, and they can come with me. But I mean,
Yeah.
unfortunately on this, but I'm off to India. We've got big projects in India, which is the middle of February. Off to Australia. We just had Riviera yachts. Through our
Wow.
distributor Centralian out there that are going to be installing on all of their yachts. They make motor
Really.
yachts, so they're going to be putting it on all their yachts. And there's some, there are some big exhibitions to go to promote the technology. So what's next is a very exciting 2023. And our business is growing very well, so it's good.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. So have you got sort of one sort of standout moment where you think, do you know what? I'm actually really proud of what I've done individually there. Do you know what I mean? Do you have one moment where sticks in your
Yeah,
mind?
I do. The first order,
Oh, all right.
because yeah, because when you get your first order, it's the one you stick up on the wall, no matter what it costs you, what it is. And
Yeah.
a couple of years ago, it actually was a land-based one, and I'll talk about a marine-based one as well. But
Yeah.
our first ever major order when I took over was in Nigeria. Um, they get a lot of lightning there, and we've got a great partner there, and that partner managed to get us into this big power station that we're protecting. And we just actually got the order for the second and the third, and so that's going on. And then one of them was, you know, we worked with a UK yacht manufacturer. I won't mention their name at the moment, but it took me 6 months to convince them. That was a bit of what I was talking about earlier,
Oh, yeah.
and they went with it. And that was they got the confidence, they felt comfortable, they knew the technology, they technically got into it. So it's that sort of things. It's the first you do, that gives you the feeling, and then when you get the second and third, it's still exciting. But what we've done this year, we've actually increased our business year on year 50%.
Wow.
I think this year, January now, we broke all records in terms of sales, land based and marine based. So it's very exciting. And now we've made it intelligent lightning protection and patented the technologies and things. It's quite good.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the owner that you mentioned that just received that phone call from you out of the blue, he must
Mm.
look back now and realize that he's glad he did.
Yeah, well, again, I'm very lucky. I might say it. I got a little award off them last year, so it's quite nice. Proud of that. I should have it displayed on this blank wall behind me. But
Yeah, you should.
yeah, no. What the one thing about Sertec is, when I first met them and got to know them, they're in South America, Paraguay. The language there is Spanish. I don't speak any,
Oh,
and they are a exceptionally professional company. They
oh
are
really?
highly regarded in Paraguay. They win awards. They're on television quite often.
Oh,
In
okay.
their business before I came on board was really mainly North America, the whole continent of South America as well. And the government see them as a leading light in Paraguay because the amount of business that they're exporting out of the country, is pretty significant. And so, yeah, I have a good relationship with them, and I'm one of those people that I need it done now, and they are the type of company that get it done now, but get it done correctly. The
Yeah.
technical team are phenomenal. They're always thinking of ways to improve, to make it better, to just make the whole technology advance. And what we'll see this year and next year are some significant advances because we've now moved into, we've been doing it already, and we're not allowed to talk about it much because it's military.
Yeah.
But we now protect a lot of military things as well. So
Oh, wow.
when you look at the scope of the technology, it's everything and anything, land and sea, and
Yeah.
we're already doing it. So yeah, I get on well with them in Paraguay. They're a great team.
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, they sound like a great company to work for, but the growth. I mean, when you say the 50% growth, I was,
Mm.
my initial thought was, is that sustainable? But when you think
Mm.
actually everything and anything can be protected, they could move into any industry,
Mm.
and protect absolutely anything. So actually,
Yeah.
it probably is one of those rare moments where it might actually be sustainable.
Mm. Well, it's some of the projects we're looking at is, even with people, this sounds crazy, doesn't it? But army people get hit by lightning, and if a lightning strike hits a troop of people on the shore or at sea, they're gone. So we're looking at all sorts of clever things to protect people as well. So it's I think this is going to be a wonderful year, 2023, 24 onwards, and
Yeah,
we work with the Tesla Institute. We took our technology. I didn't mention it earlier, but we took the technology back in 2021. Out of respect for Nikola Tesla, we took our, because he invented it,
yeah,
and we now sort of have the technology. We went there. We did the full testing at the high voltage lab. Our president went there. We passed all the tests, and they're now working with us on projects through Eastern Europe and through all sorts of places. So it's, again, the scope is just
yeah.
phenomenal. And then when I know, Holly, you're going to look at Blitzalltank, and when you
No,
do, okay,
yeah.
and when you zoom in and get used to it and go all around it, you'll be astounded how much lightning there is out there.
I
I was
know. I think it might make me nervous.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we'll sell you a CMC or pop one over for your house, But
If you could,
yeah,
that'd be great.
the one thing about lightning as well, when you do look at it and when you get to understand it more, if you're talking about it on the sea, and we're talking about around the island of Mallorca and all these lightning strikes, lightning doesn't always just strike in the storm. There's a thing called bolt from the blue. You probably heard that expression.
Yeah,
What that
loads.
is, that is a lightning strike that can be 5 miles or 10 miles outside the storm, that just comes out of the top of the cumulonimbus cloud and discharges, miles away. I don't know if you heard the expression being on cloud nine.
Yes.
Yeah, well, that is actually comes from the cumulonimbus cloud. That cloud is number 9 in all clouds, and because if you sit on the top of the cumulonimbus cloud, you're pretty high up there. Being on cloud 9 is where that comes from. I've got loads of other
Because
facts, but
I was going to say, you could talk about lightning all day long, can't you?
well, fulminology. There you go. That's the study of lightning. Astrophobia is the when you're scared of it, which most people are. But yeah, I can. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
I,
I love it.
the factor is, 2.5 years ago, I knew lightning was out there, but I didn't know much. But I do quite a bit now. It's become
That's the
good.
thing. You strike me as some. Well, excuse the pun. You strike me as someone that.
Whoa,
Yeah, I
we'll,
know.
we'll keep we'll keep that one.
You strike me as somebody that once they're kind of all in. So
Mm.
if you're going to sell something, you strike me as someone that really needs to understand it
Yeah.
to the nth degree.
At the end of the day, this is a colossally serious subject. And unfortunately, we know in the world people lose their lives every year through lightning. Boats get destroyed. All sorts of things happen. So we are extremely detailed in what we do. So
Yeah,
when the technology is installed, it's not just a case of selling the product and go away and install it. With people like TMS in the UK, we have installers which are very, very experienced electrical engineers. So yeah, we get really into the depth of it, and we make it exciting as well.
yeah, it
It's a good thing.
is.
And these products, when people look at the website of Sertec, you'll see they're designed really well. They're phenomenal. You've got to, everybody knows that's in the marine world what the conditions at sea are like, and all the corrosive atmospheres and everything that goes with it. They're designed to withstand all of that. They're designed so that water does not get into them. So we've done all of that testing, and we have all sorts of test reports. So yeah, it's wonderful.
Awesome, awesome. So, just going to move on now to a bit of a quick fire round, a bit of out of the box quick fire round, not
Hmm.
necessarily lightning related.
Oh, ouch. Hmm.
Yeah. So, might put you on the spot a little bit, Stephen.
Go on then. Go on then.
Okay. If you had just one day, money and travel time completely disregarded,
Hmm.
how would you spend it? Where would you go, and what would you do?
with the family somewhere wonderful. I mean, it's as simple as that. Take my girls and my two girls, 22 and 19, and my wife, and we'd be off somewhere, to
Somewhere,
enjoy that
somewhere
time.
hot. Somewhere
Oh
hot.
yeah, yeah. We've actually put off skiing so many times to go somewhere hot. We need to maybe do that one day as well. But yeah, no,
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
we've been very lucky. We've travelled a lot, and all those nice places in the world. So yeah, go somewhere and have a chill out, but be with the family. But the trouble is,
Yes.
my girls are at an age they may not want to be with us anymore. They're 22
Well, I
and
don't know.
19.
Yeah.
Yeah, but unless it's
If you,
somewhere really good. Yeah,
yeah, I was going to say, if you're going to take them anywhere, they might.
yeah, that's true. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But
Okay. And if you woke up tomorrow, and I handed you £1 million,
hmm.
how would you spend it? What would you do first?
Well, it gets reinvested in the family again. I mean, this is the most important thing that I have, and we'd spend it wisely, I guess, and we'd have some fun, and it would be
There-
wonderful. So if you do that tomorrow, Holly, they'll give me my phone number, and But yeah, I mean, we do so many wonderful things together, and we've travelled so much, and that's it really. It's
Yeah. So
doing it together.
you've real family focus then.
Yeah, it has to be. I mean,
Yeah, I agree.
yeah, it's important. I mean, you know what it's like. You've got children. You're watching them grow up. You're doing everything. We've done the taxi thing. Now they're driving. It's a wonderful process, and my girls are very very clever girls as well. So
Awesome. So, and the final question, the question we ask
mm.
everybody: what one quote inspires you and that you strive to live by every day?
Well, it's got to be one, and there's many. So I'm going to give you two.
Okay.
It is seize the day because to be honest, if you don't seize the day, you look back and think, well, I missed it yesterday. So it's carpe diem, isn't it? It's you're going to go out there and seize the day. And my mum always said to me one very important thing in life. She said, Steve, when you're going through this busy life, stop and smell the roses, and just look at what's around you as you travel through life at a million miles an hour.
Yeah.
So I've sort of got two. I've got one that says get on with the day and make it really happen. And another one says in all of that, balance it out a bit and stop and
Yeah.
think about what's happening. So yeah,
They're
it's,
quite
it's
contradicting. You've got one that says go and one that says stop.
yeah, that's a balance, isn't that? That's how you balance in lightning. You don't
Yeah.
have this full on lightning strike. You also maybe that's how I'm doing this lightning now because what we're doing is we're balancing life of giving it quite a lot of go and bringing it back a bit. So it's quite
Yeah,
exciting.
it's
Yeah.
important though, isn't it? If you're somebody, that wants to be successful and is very sort of driven, and you're
Mm.
thinking, what next, what next, what next? It's so easy to never just stop and look at what you've got presently in front of you.
Correct.
And I mean that in a career sense, but I also mean that, I mean, we've spoken about family. I also mean that in a family sense that, I mean, my children are younger than yours, but you blink and all of a sudden they're not that young anymore. And you,
Yeah.
you wonder whether you've actually stopped to appreciate those moments, do you know?
Yeah, yeah. It's a very valuable lesson that I got given to stop and have a look. Sometimes the days are so fast that you don't get the moment, as we all know. But
Yeah.
and then when you reflect on it, like you said, my family's grown up now, and it's wonderful and taking that journey. So and now I'm on this absolutely phenomenal journey with Sertec. It's it's
Yeah.
uh, it's exciting to be in a technology that saves lives and all the stuff that we say, all of those statements you make, but it truly does. And we'll be going around the world a lot this year, telling people
Yeah.
about it, and and we'll be at Mets again next year, and we'll be at all sorts of boat shows. So
Yeah, I mean it's exciting, but in what you're doing, what you're selling, and what the technology does. But it's also exciting the opportunity and the life it's provided for you as well. So do you know what I
yeah,
mean? You actually it's incredible, isn't it? On both sides of the coin.
yeah, it's great to wake up and seize the day. I tell you, and get on with it. It's what an exciting product, and
Yeah.
I'm lucky. I'm lucky. It just happened to be proactive, looking on LinkedIn, and there you go. So
That there's a lesson though, isn't there? Proactive.
yeah,
There's
yeah,
nothing. It's just that, isn't it?
yeah, it is, Holly. Yeah, good.
Well, thank you so much, Stephen. I've really enjoyed the conversation, and I can't wait to see you soon at the next show.
Yeah, absolutely, Holly, and thank you for this opportunity. you know that all the listeners can find us somewhere on the internet, and sertec.com.py. I just put that in. Thank you.
Yeah, brilliant. No worries, Stephen. I'll speak to you soon.
Thank you, Holly, very much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. I really hope you've enjoyed this episode. If you have, then it would be awesome if you could leave a rating or a review. Don't forget to subscribe so you can listen to us again. See you soon.